Yoga of the horse is something kind of new that I'm doing here at Soul Farm. This farm's always been a place that's challenged me as much as it's fed me. One reason is that I've almost always had horses around, and spending time with horses will teach you more about yourself and ask you to experiment and question and grow more than almost anything else here. I really wanted to share this with the women that visit here, but it's kind of hard for them to envision just how we use our horses as a way to study ourselves, so I thought I'd put together this video and share that. Just observing horses when they're out in the field, operating in a natural way, can teach us so much about ourselves. Horses are herd animals. They have a hierarchy, and so do we, although we generally don't think about ourselves that way. Seeing herd dynamics in action can be really fascinating and illuminating. But even more fascinating is when we attempt to join their herd. It's interesting because we don't really share communication skills. Humans rely on the spoken word, and horses use a universal form of communication. They rely on energy and thoughts, which is much more subtle and in a way a lot more sophisticated. We humans have lost much of our ability to communicate in these ways, but we can develop them when we work with horses, and horses are masters at this form of communication and connection. So to begin this process of developing this communication skill, in a yoga of the horse session, we start to work with these subtle senses in the woods. We practice a forest meditation that quiets our mind and encourages us to deeply focus on each of our individual senses. As you can imagine, horses have extremely attuned senses: sight, sound, taste, smell, and touch. And they require these in order to simply stay alive. And we would do well to learn to develop these senses more fully in ourselves. Then we begin to interact and explore the horses. So we spend some time grooming them and simply interacting and teaching them that being with us is a really good place to be. In this way, we can create a connection of sorts. When we lead the horses with a lead rope, we're creating a very physical connection, a very obvious link. BJ, Boogie, and Yogi are super friendly. They love attention. So getting comfortable with these gentle giants isn't really too difficult for most of our guests. But challenging this connection off lead can be intimidating for someone who's new to horses. It requires a little courage. And in our Yoga of the Horse session, it's the next step. When a human and a horse step into our round pen and begin to interact as equal beings, it's our responsibility to explore and experiment with our communication skills, to recreate that connection that we had with the lead rope, but without that physical tool. The horse is no longer forced to interact with us. We're beginning to operate like our own little herd. And as we explore, we're also exploring this hierarchy that we're creating within this new little herd,
direction.
us and the horse.
So you're going to have to think about this well ahead. You don't want to run in front of him when he's too close. So like right now, I'd be turning around. Yeah.
We use our physical energy to move the horse. We explore how to make our energy larger or smaller when we want a different interaction.
That's good. Oh, he clearly has a favorite direction, doesn't he? Oh, I like the way you say, nope, that's not the direction I set. So all of this actually, it might feel like, oh, that's not working, but it is. You're establishing communication here.
As the horse begins to see us as a leader, he might choose to make a physical connection with us, and then we can work with that connection, challenging it, sometimes breaking it, and recreating it again. This process of joining or creating a connection with a horse not only requires our focus, but it can require an awful lot of patience. We also work with our thoughts. Here, Wendy had a wonderful experience with Boogie. learning how sensitive Boogie is to what she was projecting with her thoughts.
What are you thinking about right now, Wendy?
I'm getting the feeling that, he's not mad at me, but he just, I don't think he wants me to push him backwards.
Okay.
I think he felt more
What would you like to happen?
him to come near me again.
Why don't you envision that some?
Yeah.
Kind of mentally call him towards you. Beautiful. I would kind of like to leave it at that. I thought that was pretty damn good.
Perfect ending. Perfect.
So maybe, Wendy, you were focused on
Yes,
something and
that
he
he
was reading
was
that,
at it.
right?
Yes.
And when you started to picture what you wanted him to do,
Right.
he could read it.
Feel it.
They're
Yes.
very intuitive. They do that a lot. When we ride, sometimes we envision, oh, I want to go to the right on this fork in the road. And sure enough, that's where they go. So picturing what we want them to do can be a really useful thing. And Wendy just demonstrated that. She emptied her mind of her fear that he was mad, which could have been information that was just confusing him if he wasn't. And instead she pictured what she wanted, and he's like, okay, that's what I want too now, So good work.
This is work I feel has wonderful implications for us in our lives outside the round pen. You might wonder, how is this yoga? Well, yoga translated means to yoke or to connect. And we often think of this as connecting our mind with our body. When we work with the horses in this way, it demands so much focus and mindfulness from us. The horse requires us to be completely in the moment in order to create yoga or a connection. Then, when we're able to soften and focus and sincerely create this connection with these large and beautiful and honest beings, the rewards can be so great.